nation. And yes, it is who we are, right? My name is Udwak Daniel. I'm not alone on the Prep Show.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Abuja. Good morning to the world. It's our birthday. It's our Independence Day, and we're celebrating it here in the studios of Boss FM 95.5 Abuja, and of course on a special edition of Arena. So we're going to be talking about a whole lot of things as it borders across Nigeria, and of course as it's going to concern us as a nation and individuals of this particular great nation. My name is Esther Alexander.
That's right. And we're looking at who is Nigeria and what is our purpose. It's one thing to saying that, okay, we are Nigerians and all of that, but what purpose do we have as we move, ahead? What is our purpose? Some say that our purpose is not just about being the giant of Africa. It's not just about the big brother, in Africa, but that our purpose is serving the world. In fact, some have also tipped Nigeria to be, the world, a strong world power.
The giant of Africa.
Not just Africa, outside Africa, that we are supposed to be a force to reckon with, right? Because we've not even taken our place. And in the place of identity, who are we, comes to mind. Who exactly are we? The school of thought saying we do not know who we are just yet. That until we know and identify who we are and identify our purpose, maybe then we would be able to, place ourselves in the ranks of Committee of Nations. Let's get to the first segment on the Prem Show, and that would be the newspaper review segment.
Stay boss.
Right.
You need the boss of your space, so leave that dial on Boss FM 95.5. 95.5 Boss FM. Let's talk. Not imbibe the culture of silence. Together, let us identify the issues and open it up in the arena. The arena is yours, Abuja. Boss FM 95.5.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. It is Arena 36 plus 1, your political and current affairs program show on Boss Station. Special edition because today is the 1st of October 2022, exactly 62 years from 1960, right? And yes, we're celebrating Nigeria's independence. I mean, we've come of age, right? And then let's just look at what the dailies are saying right there. We've got a couple of dailies right there staring back at us, and we'll just give it to you the way it is. Wow, quite a lot of color.
A lot.
A lot of color, right there on the front pages of major newspapers, right? Let's begin with a couple though.
We'll just start off with Independence newspaper, right?
Right.
Saturday Independent. 62nd anniversary, Independence anniversary. I share the pains Nigerians are going through, says Buhari. Of course, President Muhammadu Buhari is saying that he shares the pains Nigerians are going through. And one of the writers says, score self high on security, energy, education, economy, and others. And the last writer says, goes emotional as he delivers last Independence Day speech as president. So, of course, this is concerning the last Independence Day speech that President Muhammadu Buhari actually, served us in the early hours of today, talking about the hour of 7 a.m. this morning. He says that he shares the pains Nigerians are going through.
That's
Of course, he goes emotional, that's it. So a whole lot of things a whole lot of topic or issues will be concerning Nigeria at 62.
Well, still with the independence daily right there, we have this one right here. It says cost of living crisis, how poverty, hunger, insecurity may adversely impact 2023 polls. It has two writers. This one says citizens express fears as elections approach. A second writer says Nigerians groan under pangs of inflation. Right. All right, that's a deep one, but we have our newspaper analyst as well as our guest who's already ably seated right here in the studio with a lofty smile on his face. It's actually a male, boss man. Okay, right? And we'll just introduce him. Let's introduce ourselves once again. My name is Udwak Daniel.
My name is Esther Alexander.
And I'll let the boss lady do some justice in introducing our guest who's ably seated right there.
Well, this beautiful morning, as we mark 62, we have a guest in the studio that would, together we'll talk about the issues bordering around Nigeria as we celebrate 62 years old. He is no other person than Boss Barrister Mike Adinye. Did I pronounce
Yes,
it
yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
He's a public affairs analyst. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
That's right. So, Nigeria, 62nd independence anniversary. It seems as though that's what every front page of the Daily is actually speaking about in a very remarkable way, though, but some comic, But then, of course, the celebrations are in place. Now, looking at the Independent, right? The Independent newspaper right there. This one says, Nigeria at 62, time for political re-engineering, right? And on the 62nd independence anniversary, the president, number one citizen of the country, it says, I share the pains Nigerians are going through. And it has a couple of writers. The first one says, scores self-high on security, energy, education, economy, others. The second is, goes emotional as he delivers last Independence Day speech as president. What are your thoughts of this one, though?
Yeah, one thing is to celebrate the independence of Nigeria. Another thing is Nigeria actually independent? Independent from who? From Britain or from where? We are not self-reliant. If you ask me, I don't think we're truly independent.
Right.
Okay.
Because we're newly colonized by Britain. Not newly, but
Neo-colonized.
So we're actually not independent, because any country that is not economically dependent is still economically independent is actually economically dependent.
Okay. But anyways, though, we'll just quickly call it a close because we need to get into the nitty-gritty of today, as we'll be looking at who are we in terms of identity and what is our purpose, right? That's what we're looking at, as we look at the 62nd,
Anniversary of Nigeria. Of
Independence
course,
Day
we'll be
celebration.
talking the journey and, of course, way forward.
That's right. All right, let's just call it a close for this one and get into the nitty-gritty on the Pro Show today. All right, we'll be right back in a short bit. Stay fast.
Not imbibe the culture of silence. Together, let us identify the issues and
You can actually drag it to yourself if you want. Yes, yeah.
the arena is yours, Abuja. Boss of 1955.
Okay, welcome back. This is still Arena 36 plus 1, your political and current affairs probe show. And of course, today is Independence Day in Nigeria. Nigeria is 62 and we're celebrating 62nd anniversary of us as a nation. But notwithstanding, there are still other international observances for today because today is also International Day of Older Persons. And of course, it goes with the theme resilience of older persons in a changing world. So let's bring it home. We are also older, 62 years older.
That's right.
62 years old, and another year to the years Nigeria marks independence. So we're looking at who we are as a nation and
That's right.
also our purpose. And of course, we'll also look at the journey so far from 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and now we're 62. And then what are the way forwards? Because of course there are so many challenges rocking Nigeria as a nation. And with that said, we have a guest in the studio that would, together we'll talk about all of these issues that brought us across Nigeria. He is Boss Barrister Mike Adinye. You're welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
That's right. So, Boss Barrister Mike Adinye, once again, happy Independence to you, though. Happy Independence Day to you. I wonder why I don't add the day. Happy Independence Day.
Independence Day.
That's right.
That's right.
Right.
Independence Day.
Day. That's right.
So it's a
Political
day.
independence.
Yeah, political independence, right?
Not worth celebrating. We can only mark it
So,
as a day that Britain partially left Nigeria for Nigerians. In political parlance, we call it the autochthony of Nigeria.
okay. So when you say partially left Nigeria, you're saying there's still a strong
Yeah,
presence.
because we are still subservient to Britain
All
in
right.
everything we do.
Right. Okay. Well, we've seen, the recent development with the passing of the Queen. Her soul rest in peace, right there. And of course, we've got a king this time in Britain. Some are beginning to wonder if that would have a kingly, effect on our, democracy, on our personality as a country, and all of that. Little wonder it has informed the topical issue today, as against what other platforms or persons would might want to consider. There is a place of identity. Some would say it's an identity theft. Some would say it's an identity not knowing. Some would say we just happen to be, and all of that. For you, having come this far, right? 1960 to 2022, right? Would you say, or would you hinge your assertion on the fact that we are where we are today because we do not have an identity of ourselves? Because that's what a topical issue is about. It's who are we in terms of identity, and what is our purpose? What is our purpose? It's a very wide,
It is.
talk.
Identity as Nigerians or identity as citizens of this country. Or,
Identity, of course.
as
As
Nigerians.
Nigerians.
Of course.
Do we really see ourselves as Nigerians? Because our allegiance, first of all, is to our ethnic groups, to where we come from. And that is why if we do not celebrate ourselves as Nigerians, even out there, outside Nigeria, we're not celebrated. We've seen situations where other countries, Nigerians who are in other countries find it difficult to survive in those countries because of the stringent measures. We do not love ourselves. We cannot, for instance, the Southerners cannot comfortably live in the North. There's still fear or unknown insecurity, religious bigotry and the rest of it. If we cannot, first of all, identify ourselves as a people, as Nigerians, as human beings, then how do we expect people outside this country to identify and love us?
But don't you think we have an identity so far? Because we have the coat of arms, some would say some identity for us. We also have the flag and its colors.
Green, white, green.
Yeah, with meaning, Some would say it is somewhat an identity. We also have, the green card, if you like. Some would say it is also an identity.
We have those identities, but how well do we respect those identities?
So it is in the respecting of the identity that we can actually say that we have an identity.
Identity that defines us as a people, as human beings, from a particular region.
Right.
Because if we do not have regard for our identity, if you travel out of this country, you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
The green, white, green passport is a problem outside Nigeria. We don't have regards for it. Because if you go to the international airport outside the shores of this country and you tender your green, white, green passport, they'll keep you aside and attend to other nationals, attend to other countries. It's only when they are done with that before they will subject you as a Nigerian to a thorough search. I don't know what that means. Because if you don't love this country and you believe that you have better prospects outside the shores of this country, you become a slave even to that country that you found yourself. First of all, identify yourself, be proud of where you come from, so that outsiders will equally respect you.
So let's look at the presidential speech this morning. President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, gave his last, Independence Day speech as the president of Nigeria. And of course, one of the issues that he mentioned, or should I say, one of the things he said, is the fact that one of the areas where we have made significant progress is the eradication of deeply entrenched corruption that permeates all facets of our national development. Do you think we have actually made success in that area?
With due respect to Mr. President, I don't think we've achieved that. If you look at the way things are happening. Prior to this time, we discovered people who stole in millions. Right now, people steal in billions, even in trillions, and nothing happens. How do they have access to all these bodies without proper check on them? So corruption is still highly endemic. But if you ask me, it's not a monster. You chase it to a certain extent where it turns back to chase you. So we've still not achieved much.
But when I think when President Muhammadu Buhari came to power, that was the first time, he introduced whistleblowing. He introduced whistleblowing, whereby corrupt, those individuals, government officials, and also you as an individual, if you spot any corrupt practices going on, you can actually blow whistle, and then the government, and of course we recorded some level of funds that were recovered, properties that were seized and all that. But if you check or look at these things, how have we managed all of those properties?
That was an euphoria at the moment. When President Muhammadu Buhari first came on board, it was just an euphoria at the moment. But subsequently, we've not seen that playing out again.
Okay, let's also look at insecurity, because there are so many things that were itemized in this presidential speech, as we're seeing right now. In order to address insecurity, we worked methodically in reducing insurgency in the northeast, militancy in the Niger Delta, ethnic and religious tensions in some sections of Nigeria, along with other problems threatening our country. Insecurity. This President Muhammadu Buhari today said that they have recorded an increased success in addressing insecurity. Do you think that we have actually addressed insecurity in Nigeria?
It is not what we should think about. It's the facts. It's not possible.
With
If I cannot comfortably travel from here to Niger State, or to Kogi State, or to Kaduna State, with all the banditry and Boko Haram everywhere, and the proliferation of how do you call it?
Small arms.
Terrorist groups, giving themselves different names. We have still not achieved that.
We saw a lot of security issues. The Kuje prison break.
Yes, much more than ever before.
Much more than ever before.
So
attack
where's
on
the
our
achievement?
trains, attack
Yes.
on roads.
Which has never been.
And does it mean that this presidential speech, or should I say Independence Day speech, is something that Nigerians are already used to? It's
We're
something
used
that
to
comes
it,
every single year, the same thing,
the
back
same
to
thing,
back,
the same
without any
story,
form of-
the same as if it's duplicated from somewhere. So I don't believe in what the president said, because the reality, if you place it pari passu with the reality on ground, you discover that it's more or less a recurrent decimal.
Well, the president has said that in taking our place in the Committee of Nations and appealing to the striking lecturers to return back to the classrooms, and the reason he gave was scarce resources.
Scarce resources in meeting up the demands of us.
That's right.
But when it comes to other issues, we do not have scarce resources. If we prioritize education in this country, we should first of all look at the educational needs of Nigerians before looking at some other things. I know how much the government has spent in taking care of other issues that are not related to education. So if the government of President Muhammadu Buhari prioritizes education or has prioritized education, we should first of all listen to the earnings of Nigerians
But-
before other
Yeah,
issues.
just before we get into all of that, we've seen not just the administration of President Muhammad Buhari, having a lingering, in terms of meeting the demands of the ASU in itself as a body, right? We've seen other administrations come and go, where there's been strikes, agitations, demands, and all of that. In fact, there has been meetings upon meetings, memorandum of understanding, MOAs, and all of that, and yet none has really, come to fruition. Now, for you, boss, Anile, is it about the administration, or is there something that these administrations are not telling us in terms of education, not meeting up or bringing it up to date? Is there something we're missing in this?
There's something wrong. If anything that is founded on propaganda,
Right.
founded on falsehood, you need to tell more lies to be able to exact your point. Because I don't think the lieutenants of this government are telling the president the truth. It's a lot of back and front, moving forward and backward. And to me, if you look at the way Nigerian lecturers are leaving the shores of this country to other countries, you ask yourself this question: what is in that country that we do not have in this country? The simple and short story is this: the government of today has not prioritized education. The government of today is not listening to the yearnings of Nigerians. The government of today is not sensitive to the plights of the masses. I don't think the government has done enough.
No, okay, now, my point exactly is this. In other climes, you would find that education is consolidated on. In fact, it is seen as the bedrock of the society.
Nation, yeah.
That's right. But then, it seems as though from this part of the world, or in Nigeria,
The retrogression.
that's the thing. So how do we indeed grow as a people? How do we indeed begin to make that significant change when education in itself has been diminished? Because we see Boko Haram, the agitation was an Aram to modern education and all of that. And what is it for you now in this regard?
Well, I think the government is not sincere.
Okay.
If it were sincere, some of these vices would have been curtailed. You discover that criminality has equally increased.
Sure.
There are so many vices everywhere. The youths are no longer interested in education. But let me tell you what this has done to us as a country. Even if ASU calls up its strike today, a lot of damage has been done. But for some persons who study professional courses, who have gone into other areas looking for money, trying to survive, it will be difficult for them to come back and still continue from where they stopped, unless we are starting the entire exercise all over. It's really difficult for people who were studying medicine and surgery, for instance, prior to this strike. I don't see them going to continue, especially those in the clinicals, like 40 year and the rest, going to continue from where they stopped, because a lot of water would have gone down the drain.
So
That
they
is
need
where
to
we have found
reset
ourselves. Yes.
their brains and every other thing.
I doubt the possibility.
So are we focusing on the wrong things? Because the president has come to saying that there has been a huge focus on the intervention programs, such as the National Social Investment Program, that is the NSIP. In fact, he mentioned Empower, he mentioned Trade and Money, he mentioned unconditional cash transfer, he also mentioned business loans and grants. This is the focus. These are things that we need to focus on as a country to indeed grow us economically, grow us as a people, and grow us as a nation.
But there are certain things the government has not been able to achieve. One, if the power sector, is working, then education is working, the grants are being pushed to meaningful use.
Right.
Because most times when these grants are given to the youths or farmers, it's diverted to other issues, contrary to
The main
the essence. Yes. But one thing, despite the fact that we've really not achieved much as a nation under this dispensation, there's one thing I know the government has achieved in terms of agriculture.
Right.
Okay.
But if you pursue agriculture to a certain extent, you are in the farm, and the bandits chase you out of the farm, you have achieved anything.
Hmm.
It becomes an exercise in
So we
futility.
still boil down to
Yeah, security is key because you cannot be giving money to farmers to go to a farm, cultivate the soil. At the end of the day, they're chased out of the farm and they pay tributes to bandits and Boko Haram.
But the president has come out to saying that he's given a thumbs up to the security agencies for the work done so far, and he's very hopeful that we would see limelight in this fight against terrorism, insurgency, and all of that.
Take note, recently, the Brigade of Guards had casualties along the Buhari axis, which has never been. These are specialized soldiers, specially trained soldiers, to take care of the FCT and the presidential pillar. They were attacked, as so many brilliant officers were killed, even in the heart of Abuja. So how well, or how far have we gone in terms of achieving security demands in this country?
Okay,
I've
so
still not seen any achievements.
All right, so also look at other areas because today we're just looking at the nation as a whole. Now, the president mentioned the fact that the administration will continue to, confront economic challenges such as debt burden, growing inflation, living standards, and increasing unemployment, accentuated by our growing youthful population. These are the problems he mentioned that are induced by, the negative effect in policies and of course will be addressed. The president also said that this administration will continue to ensure that our fiscal policies are supported by a robust and contemporary monetary policy that recognizes our peculiarities in the midst of the growing global economic difficulties. This, he said that is evidenced by the recent Monetary Policy Committee decision to maintain all parameters, especially interest rates, and marginally increase the monetary policy rate, that's MPR, from 14% to 15.5%, and the cash reserve ratio, CCR, from 27.5% to 32.5%. It is projected that this would further insulate our economy from overexposure to uncertainties at the international market by restraining growth in core inflation. We have a rising, inflation situation in Nigeria. Inflation is growing from, I think, from 1 digit to 2 digits, but we're having a whole lot of issues around that area. And of course, the NPR came up with a recent development that have shifted from 14% to 15%. So do you think that this is a way to curb inflation? But before you go on with your thoughts, let's open the phone line so our boss listeners can also contribute their own quota to the discussion. You can add your voice to the arena this morning by calling the phone lines 0902 922 2944 or 0807 777 3288.
The WhatsApp portal number is 0901 Listen via the online stream platform www.bossfm.ng. As well as across social media platforms, we have a strong presence: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On Facebook and Instagram, it is at BossFM 95.5 Abuja, while on Twitter, it is at BossFM 95.
Yes, Boss Mike, let's get back to you. What do you think about this whole thing?
Save your breath, my dear. Is the president leaving this for his successor? Because as it stands, the present dispensation is at its departure lounge. There's absolutely nothing that can be done at this point. We should rather be thinking of giving ourselves a good election that will usher in good leaders.
So do you think that the election 2023, whoever becomes the leader of Nigeria will be able to surmount all of these type
There's
challenges that we
so
have?
much to be done. It takes God's intervention to be able to overcome all of this. There are other countries of the world that pass through worse situations than ours, but I think it's still achievable. I'm very optimistic.
So is ours self-inflicted, or
Really, really self-inflicted because we've had square pegs in round holes. We do not have leaders who are sensitive to the earnings of this country.
let's put it back to your thoughts and just quickly take this break. Hello, boss. Hello. Okay, you can keep the calls coming through though. 0902 922 2944. That is the number to call. The other number would be 0807 777 3288. And the WhatsApp portal number is 0901 625-2525. And your views, share your thoughts. Letting us in to what you think our identity is as a people. Have we been able to attain that place of identity, or we are still, struggling to gain identity? Secondly, what do you also think could be the purpose, our purpose, in this whole entire, world as it stands, starting with Africa and outside Africa? All right, let's take the score.
Hello, boss. Hi, good morning, boss.
Hello? All right, that's a miss. Anyways, we're still talking about Nigeria's identity, and we're talking about the purpose, our purpose as a people, as a country. And then we have our guest in the studio right here, if I'm not mistaken, boss barrister Mike Adine, right?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
wonderful. So, in the course of things, the boss barrister, a school of thought is saying that what we heard the president speak, or in his president's speech, was just lingua or linguistics, if you like. It's more English, and that is what we have been doing for countless times. It seems as though we have people who are well crafted in putting words together and trying to just give us a presentation and all of that. In fact, some would say it is a presentation actually. But then, what would be your thoughts with regards our purpose? Our purpose.
We have been doing, we've been talking. What matters most to Nigerians, what Nigerians want to see right now is doing the talk.
Doing
The talk.
So does it mean we've not been doing the talk?
No. What we've been doing all that, right from the beginning is talking and not actually doing the talk. Now, let me tell you what necessitated Britain's willingness to bring us together when the colony of Lagos, the Northern and Southern Protectorate, came together. What Britain saw at that time was that Britain felt that we could come together as a people. Sorry, I'm going to this aspect because today we're celebrating independence from Britain. Britain saw us as a people who could come together, and that was to run for 100 years, which expired on the 31st of December 2014. December, yeah.
That's
2014.
after the amalgamation.
Amalgamation. It was supposed to be for 100 years.
Okay.
But right from that time till today, what we're doing is we are still test running our ability and willingness to stay together as one indivisible country. Take note that Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria is a state of nations.
So in other words,
we're still apprentices. Let me
can we regard ourselves as the United States?
The United States.
Because
Only when we're united. We've
So
come
as
together.
it stands, we're not united.
We're not united. It's obvious we're not united.
Are you saying that despite our diversity in terms of ethnic groups, culture, tribes, it is still not enough for we to call ourselves united?
Nigeria is a heterogeneous country that is still at the verge of identifying and understanding the various ethnic groups in this country and how we can fuse these ethnic groups in this country, to be able to live as one indivisible people.
was there never a time we are close to being united, even in the midst of this centenary period? Or
Prior to this time, I think during regime, we had it better. The North would see a Southerner, not now will see a Southerner as better. It appears to be worse right now. I'm not seeing any light in the tunnel. In fact, I cannot comfortably live in some parts of this country freely because I feel that I'll be intimidated by virtue of where I come from or my religion. Even the Christians in the extreme northeast and all that are suffering the same fate. So how do we bring in a leader that will unify these various ethnic groups, different cultural affiliations and all that, because to see ourselves as one? But I still have a problem with our national anthem. At some point somebody suggested, that was during the, I think, confab, that we should redefine our willingness to be together through our national anthem, which will be in form of prayers. But our ISO compact, I don't understand what that means. Especially this other aspect that says one nation bound in freedom. We're not one nation, we're a state of nations. We have the Yoruba nation, the Igbo nation, and the Hausa nation.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are a lot of things, the fundamentals of this country need to be redefined, to enable us to live as one indivisible people.
Okay, so let's look at 2023 elections. The
Right.
president also mentioned the fact that he's enjoining Nigerians to, especially presidential aspirants or candidates, to ensure that they practice issue-based campaigns.
That's right.
And of course, we're in the month of campaign, which kick-started few days ago. So, what are the issues exactly that some of these presidential candidates should look at? Because as it is right now, everybody is centering their thoughts around some of the issues that they feel would sell, because these are the things that Nigerians are currently facing. Insecurity, of course. All of them are promising to end ASU strike and all that. But we have seen administrations come and gone. Even during Jonathan as administration, we had ASU strike for 6 months, which of course the president, during one of his, the former president, during one of his speech, he said that his administration was able to curb ASU strike because he had to sit in the meeting with stakeholders involved throughout the night, and the next day the strike was called off. So this issue-based campaign right now, what are we looking at come 2023 election?
Kudos to the Peace Path,
Okay.
organized by
Salami
Salah Abubakar and Hassan Buka.
Yes.
I think that is the first step to take.
Okay.
Peace is priceless. Once there's peace, you can have an election that all of us will be proud of. The one thing I say have to give to this government is the willingness to conduct a free and fair election.
Right.
I've seen those signs playing out. There's no candidate that can say, okay, it's highly favored by this government or is not highly favored.
Okay.
The president has given everybody a level playing ground.
Right.
I hope this continues. Yes.
All right. Does that also go on to justifying, or serve as goals towards meeting the vision of purpose for the country?
Yes. Like my boss, Canada BSN, will always say that what should give us what we want as a people, as a country, is to have a good election disposition.
So having a good election will guarantee us as Nigerians to
Yes.
come out of this shambles.
Yes,
that
we will
we're
have
in.
good elections where the people, the political sovereign, those voters are political sovereign
Okay.
in a truly democratic structure
Mm.
where the people are given the mandate, given the opportunity to choose their own leaders, not when leaders are imposed on the people. Such governments are illegitimate, no matter how you look at it. We want a legitimate government come 2023, where the people will be proud of, people happily say, yes, thank God I was instrumental to the emergence of this government.
Okay, let's also look about the part of the citizens, because most times we focus attention on the government a lot. And as citizens of Nigeria, as we celebrate 62 years of independence, what have we done, or what are our contributions? What have we asked the questions that we need to ask as citizens of the nation? Have we done the things that we ought to do in order to also push Nigeria to where it ought to be?
Yes, the citizens are awake now. Prior to this time, we had a voter apathy, but there's never been a time where we had a mass drift of people going to register to be properly involved in the 2023 election. This is the first time, it's never been. Because people are enlightened, people are conscious. People no longer rely on the propagandist machinery of government. People who the governments have appointed to tell lies on behalf of government.
Right.
People no longer rely on that. They now want to know the reality on ground. In fact, let me tell you what is going to play out that will surprise everybody. The 2023 election would not be based on parties, to be based on individuals.
Yeah, I was going to come there because it seems as though there is beginning to be a shift away from party, to individual, and that also brings us to the place of the individuals that have been fielded, from different or various parties. What are your thoughts on them? Do you think that we could still have, a leader from amongst, the 18 to salvage the situation in the country?
Okay, the major players are basically three. I'm not campaigning. I look at three. I don't know the fourth one. I know of the APC,
Right.
the ruling party. I know of the PDP, and I know of the Labour Party, the strong force that is emerging. But let me tell you one thing.
Okay.
I am involved in the APC government. but I am highly obedient to be useful to my family.
Right. Right. Understood. Understood. Right. The conversation is still trending right here. You can have your voice in the arena. Talk to us. Let us know if you know your identity as a Nigerian, as well as the purpose, for which you were created to be born, from this part of the world, especially West Africa and all of that. Do you also think that Nigeria has a role to play when it comes to the world global stage, as it were? And what influence and impact can we indeed make? Can we even be seen as the emerging world power? Even as some school of thought have said that if Nigeria were able to handle the challenges that we face as a country, the major challenges, that separate us, that we never can tell. We might just be, if not 1 to 5 of the world power in the world. Well, add your voice in the conversation. 0902 922 2944 is the number to call. The other number is
0807-777-3288.
the WhatsApp portal number remains
0901-625-2525.
That's right, and we have Boss Barrister Mike Adinye right here in the studio, and he has been doing due diligence to the topical issue. But Boss Barrister, you are a barrister. You have been within the walls of the judiciary somewhat, if we put it that way, of the law and all of that. The law, is that what is affecting us as a people towards being who we ought to be, towards achieving our purpose? Is that what it is? Or is it about, us as a people, as individuals? For you, what is it? We had the late Yaradua talking about the rule of law. The president, once or twice has also mentioned the rule of law. But is the rule of law ruling indeed?
Our problem as a people is not all about the legal system. We have laws in place. Implementation is what matters. But I think the greatest problem we have, which ought to be addressed, is the problem of identity.
Right.
Once we start seeing ourselves as one, obedience to judicial pronouncement or to the rule of law will take place. But there's something that has not played out in this regime, which I have identified, and a few others who love this country. This government has really not had respect for the judiciary.
Right.
There's no respect for judicial pronouncements. It's only when it favors it that they move swiftly to act on it. I had a discussion with some persons who are involved in the security matters a few weeks ago, and what the person said was the courts can go ahead and make their pronouncement. Obedience to those pronouncements is what matters. You can attach the government's account, do whatever you want to do, as a result of fundamental right enforcement. But getting the judgment depth would never be in this government. The person said so.
Aren't laws there to guide us?
There are laws.
To
One
stop
thing is to have laws
chaos.
in place. Another thing is obedience to those laws. We really obey these laws.
So why do we even have the laws in the first place if we cannot obey it? When it's a sort of fundamental, aspect of what governance should really be. If we cannot obey it, why then are we very hopeful of a change? Do you even see change, anywhere close in
Yes,
time?
yes. I've seen that. I've seen prospects.
Okay,
Because
process.
when people begin to think differently, when there's a reorientation,
Right.
when people now cast their minds on having to vote for a leader who would change the dynamics of this country, the problems of this country, it means there's a change. There's light in the tunnel, but definitely not in this regime.
Some school of thought believe that our constitution has strong backings to the powers that be, or should we say, the first 3 arms of government. And unlike the citizens, they don't really benefit from the constitution. Is it because the citizens do not really know what the constitution actually entails, or their rights that they are not benefiting, or because our judiciary also favors those that
The highs and
that
lows.
are mighty than the citizens of Nigeria?
It's not all about the citizens. The judiciary has been tight or something.
Okay,
It's not free
Is it supposed
because
to be
it's
so?
the judiciary appears, not necessarily appearing, but is independent on the whims and caprices of the executive.
Right.
It's only when the judiciary purges itself from the hamstring of the executive that we can truly act and function independently. We're actually not separated. How will you be separated when you're economically bound to the
So
executive?
the,
You
exactly.
talk about the separation of powers. What are you separating? The judiciary depends on the executive to be funded, and economic power is key. You know, the executive determines what goes to the judiciary. So how are you separated? Or are you
So
independent?
does it mean that the executive, the judiciary will always, dance to the tune of the
It's not the
executive?
judiciary, up to the executive.
So if this what's playing out is
That's what is playing out. That's why the judiciary cannot function the way it ought to function. You know, prior to this time when we were growing up, there was this belief that the judiciary is the hope of the common man. But I've grown up, even as a lawyer, to discover that it's not actually the hope of the common man. Justice is for the highest. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. What would be your final words to the Nigerians, especially as we celebrate Independence Day today?
Well, actually, I think my last word for Nigerians: go, register, obtain your PVC, and be involved in the next administration. This administration is at its departure lounge. There's actually nothing that can be done. What the government of the day should be interested in is how to have an election that will be driven by the people, an election of leaders that will be determined by the people, an election that will bring forth leaders that will change the face of this country, redefine us, bring us together as a people willing to stay together as one indivisible country.
Well, you just heard from the boss barrister Mike Adinye. Just like you said, we need to go get our PVC. We all need to be involved
That's
in
right.
this election come 2023. Get your PVC and be actively involved in all of the processes that are needed. You need to go vote, you need to register, and you also need to be at the polling unit, and you need to stay there and ensure that your vote
Counts.
is counted.
That's right.
That's all. That's the much you can take on today's edition of Arena 36 Plus. So, mind you, today is a special edition, courtesy Nigeria's independence as we celebrate 62 years as an independent nation.
Right.
But Boss Barrister says we're not a nation,
Truly,
a state of
States
nations.
and nations. That's right.
Thank you
That's
so much. My name is Esther Alexander.
right. And Udwan Daniel is my name as we sign out of the arena. You stay lost. And
Thank you.
5.5 Now, when it comes to hits,
Thanks for coming, sir.
entertainment,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.